everyone, and welcome to another GIC TV live broadcast here on the Global Illumination Council. I want to welcome you all back. We haven't done a live broadcast on GIC TV for about 7 months now, and this is our first of our monthly broadcast. So we'll be doing monthly broadcasts every last Tuesday of the month from now on, and please make sure to log in so you can ask questions. We will be interviewing other luminaries in the movement as well as doing classes, etc., etc. But anyway, for tonight, we're going to keep it kind of casual. I decided that this would be an opportunity for me to kind of reconnect with all of our members, reconnect with all of our friends and fans around the world, and give us an opportunity to speak, literally, to speak with one another. I have several questions that have been sent to me prior, and I'll be utilizing those as well as those of you who are on the website and are members that are signed in. You can post your questions live on the channel. I'll be keeping an eye on that throughout tonight's broadcast. Anyway, tonight what I would like to do is talk to you a little bit about the awakening process. It's very funny because, as you know, I have been doing this work with the Global Illumination Council for many years now, where the network's been around since 2008, and our YouTube channel is actually going to be celebrating its 8th anniversary come July 6th, I believe. We're going to be 8 years old on YouTube, which is a wonderful thing. But with all of the work that has grown from it, one of the things that I was recently reminded was the importance of what we're doing, what I am doing for you, for us, for humanity. And I feel that the most important thing that I can do is to be here for you, those that are going through the awakening process, be here to help guide people through that. I get many emails, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But I get many emails about people freaking out. The reality of it is many people feel that they're going crazy. They feel that they're rebelling, or they're being, a naughty person or a bad spiritual person because of the fact that they're aware of what is happening on the planet, and also going through the systematic changes that happen to a person on a physical, mental, and spiritual level internally, and again throughout our energy body. So what do I mean when I'm talking about the awakening process? Well, those of you that are watching this probably are already familiar with the awakening process and what it is for you. But let me share a definition that I find to be very comfortable for me. The awakening process, again, for me, is a spontaneous action, a spontaneous awareness that occurs at any given moment. It could start off as an epiphany, whether it be to your intuition, whether it be to your ability to manifest, or just the awakening process of what is going on in the planet and wanting to balance out the injustices that are going on. Many people have aligned with the awakening movement, if there is an awakening movement. We have everything from starseeds to truthers to light workers to those in the consciousness movement, those aligned with the indigo children that are now being born, sharing information on that. So many different aspects, all relating to this process that I call awakening. And sadly, one of the major problems that many people that are awakening have is the fact that they feel alone. That is one of the reasons, or probably the main reason, that we started the Global Illumination Council, was to provide a forum, a community, an online community center, for lack of a better term, for people that are going through this awakening process, to be able to support one another, to share experiences, to share the strange dream that you had last night, or the out of body experience that you had, or the realization of the poisoning of the planet, or the poisoning of the food system, or you've just awakened to seeing grid lines in the sky, you know, chemtrails or geoengineering, whatever it is, there are these moments of, oh my gosh, this is very profound. This is changing my life. This is something I need to talk to somebody about this. And, you know, I do receive many, many messages as people are going through the experiences. Sadly, I don't have the time to answer one on one, which is probably why we're facilitating and using this particular platform to be able to answer some of those questions. But the reality of it is that you're not going crazy. If you're going through this awakening process and you are having these lucid dreams, if you are coming to the realization that the system that we have geopolitically is not really beneficial to humanity and only beneficial to the profit of you know, a small number of people, that's a good thing. That's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be ashamed of. As a matter of fact, I just was speaking about people who are ashamed of waking up on the radio show just before this broadcast. And it really saddens me when people are ashamed of it. I went through that particular, how shall we say, that process of being ashamed for many years. When I first started doing this and became very popular very quickly, I was very apprehensive to either be looked at as a YouTube personality or a GIC leader or someone or a teacher or anything like that. I was very apprehensive because the reality of it is that I am also going through the process. You're going through the process. I'm going through the process with you. We all might be focusing or working on different aspects of our individual awakening, but I assure you it does not end. You can do documentaries. You can be in documentaries. You can do radio shows. You can be have millions of viewers on YouTube, and I assure you that you will still be yourself, struggling and trying to figure out the direction to go to with all this information and all these changes that are going on within you and around you, the world itself around us, how it's changing so drastically. So let me just say, let me go ahead and start by answering one of the questions that I received recently from a gentleman in Austria. I'm not going to be naming names unless you specifically tell me to. But this gentleman was telling me dreams of, and I'm sure many of us have this, because I've heard this more than once. This gentleman was having dreams of a, how shall we say, post-apocalyptic world, and being chased, trying to hide out. What was the word I was looking for? He felt as if he was being hunted. That's the word I was looking for. Having dreams of living in a post-apocalyptic world and being hunted. Now, that's very interesting. And I say that because I've had those dreams, and I have spoken to a multitude of people who have had that particular dream. And to answer that honestly, you know, what does this dream mean? Well, I do believe in doing a dream interpretation. I can do dream interpretation if someone's interested. However, for me, as a collective dream that seems to be going around, I'm very hopeful that it is merely an alternate timeline. I believe that perhaps it is an alternate timeline in another universe, and perhaps you're tapping into that. I am very aware of the fact that we did really fork off after 2012, after the solstice on December 21st, 2012, that the realities and the timelines seem to have forked off into different directions. And perhaps that was the other timeline. And I don't want to get too much into this, but let's be very aware that there are multiple universes and multiple dimensions of reality, and there are presences of ourselves within them. As a matter of fact, we just posted an article about how they've discovered, quantum physics has discovered that we don't die, we just go to another universe or a parallel universe. Now, I'm not stating this as truth, I'm just stating this as probable realities that could answer that particular question and notion. Another of the questions that I get quite a bit is, what do I do to awaken my friends? And I have been receiving this question now for probably as long as I've been doing this. What do I do to awaken my friends? What do I do to awaken my family? How do I wake up the people that I love? And I don't hate to say it, I'm going to say it quite bluntly, is we need to be very aware and very respectful of everyone's individual path. Going around and calling your friends sheeple, calling your family sheeple, or even judging them as such is not doing you any favors. It is not empowering you. It's not empowering them. The reality is that we are all on our own individual journey, and we will all come to some form of epiphany or awakening as is intended for us by our own soul contract, our own choices, and by our own awakening experience. It is not up to you to awaken other people. It is up to you to be there for other people that are awakening, to answer questions, but it's not up to you to awaken other people. I find, and you will find this, I can share my personal experience with you of my best friend. I hope she's not watching. My best friend in the whole world, and has been now for over 30 years, and we argued over this awakening process. We argued over my arrogance sometimes, because I went through the same thing that you did in my early years of, you don't get it, oh, you're not awake, you're never going to be awake, oh no, you're supporting the wrong people, you're supporting the wrong political party, you're supporting evil corporations, etc., etc. And the reality of it is that, you know, all these years later, I'm hearing now of this person getting involved with ecological movements, of getting involved with anti-big corporation stuff, and literally saying to me, you know what, you were right. Oh wow, you were right. I should have listened to you. So I implore you, do not get offended by your friends on their journey. It's not your place. Humble yourself. Humble yourself to the reality that you are the one going through this awakening process. Humble yourself to the gift and the beauty of being awake, of going through the process, and let that be enough. The idea of imposing your will upon another is not where we're headed. That's the whole idea about this awakening, is that no one tells us what to think. No one tells us how we are supposed to live. We live from our hearts. We listen to our hearts. We are guided by our higher selves. So for you to impose your opinion, your belief, your judgment on another individual is going against the very awakening that you are living, that you want to share with them. Don't evangelize the awakening. Don't evangelize your aha moments. Share your aha moments and allow them to digest them as is comfortable for them. Now, the idea of, and again, I'm bringing this up because this was a question posed to me. What do I think about UFOs? That's a great question, and I thank you whoever it was that shared it. I can't see who it is. I want to thank you for sharing that question because that's a really hot topic. That's a really hot topic. UFO, an unidentified flying object. My Facebook newsfeed is full of many of you sharing images, sharing videos, sharing experiences of UFO flying saucers, spacecraft, whatnot. I kind of had a change of heart in the last several months, and that change of heart is that I no longer wish for disclosure from the United States government or from any government. I don't need disclosure from a government. I have already had my own personal experiences, and it's not necessary for me to force the government to say this is real. It's the same thing. It goes back to that philosophy of the awakening process. I don't need to shove UFOs down the throats of the entire planet. What good is it going to do? I don't get it. Why does everyone have to believe in UFOs? Isn't that just evangelizing? I know they're real. I've seen them. My book is based on experiences with transdimensional entities. It's not necessary for me to have a government tell me that UFOs are real or that aliens are real. But I will say this. We recently hosted a film, and I didn't get to watch it. I wish I was able to. I forgot the name of it. But the core essence of that particular film was that the whole UFO cover-up is basically a disinformation campaign by the United States government itself to hide their technology. I saw this wonderful video day before yesterday, and I believe it's titled UFO Takes Out Taliban Camp. Okay? It destroys a Taliban camp. Alright, so I was like, well, I need to watch this. So I watched it, and I was like, yeah, something's flying over this camp, and something's exploding the camp and blowing it up and whatnot, and they're showing a close-up of the craft and whatnot. Immediately, my heart said, drone. 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 And I say this for two reasons. One, I do not believe that advanced cultures are going to use missiles if they're advanced. And two, I firmly believe in what is called the Galactic Treaty of Non-Intervention. I don't see otherworldly entities choosing sides. The Taliban might be positive for some people, and the U.S. might be positive for some people, and I feel that any otherworldly life is going to say, you know what, they need to figure this out, just like any good parent would, just like I would. I'd be like, you know, you need to come together on this and figure this out amongst yourselves. I don't see an advanced civilization coming down and picking sides and blowing up the Taliban and not blowing up the U.S. after everything that, you know, the U.S. has done. So there's my idea of this idea of disclosure, of UFOs. Yeah, of course they're real. It's already been disclosed. They're disclosing themselves to millions of people around the planet every day. Why do we need official? If you need the United States government to tell you that aliens are real, you need to ask yourself, why are you giving the U.S. government or any government so much power in what you believe in? Is this a matter of being right? Is this an ego, you know, construct that I need to be proven right? I need Obama to agree that there are aliens. Why? Don't you know it already in your heart? Or haven't you already experienced it? Haven't you already seen one? Haven't you already had contact of your own? And if not, you can ask. They pretty much come to anybody that asks. So I would suggest that we allow things to be the way they are when it comes to the UFO situation. Millions already aware. We don't need to force governments. And as a matter of fact, if the government were to disclose, it'd probably be another pack of lies. So think about that. And think about the motive. And I think that's the important part of this. Why are you motivated to make them disclose? Ask yourself that. Now we're going to get into a little bit of nitty-gritty here, because a part of the awakening process is the geopolitical awakening, and the idea of culture, the idea of country, the idea of nationalism, the idea of religion, and all of the convoluted distraction and divisiveness that involves. I have a very simple philosophy when it comes to nationalism, politics, religion, culture, whatnot. If you're not hurting anybody, do what you want. If a particular culture is hurting another culture, I am going to say something about it. If a particular country is hurting another country, I am going to say something about it. If a particular tradition, yes, I'm going into traditions now. I don't care if they're 2,000 years old. I don't care if they're 5,000 years old. I don't care if they're 20,000 years old. If they are inhumane, if they oppress anyone, if it oppresses anyone, I am going to say something about it. I get so many questions, and I'm going to... How long have we been here? Okay, we got a few more minutes. I get a lot of questions, and a lot of them I could answer with just sharing the GIC Pledge. And I would suggest to all of you, if you're watching this, to please go ahead and click on the About section at the GIC.org and read the pledge. I'm very serious about that. That pledge was given to me from my transdimensional experience, my ET experience, and I happen to agree with it as a way to pave a new road to a better future and to a better paradigm. And within that pledge, it says, I will not support anyone that oppresses another. I don't care if you're the United States. I don't care if you're Israel. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care if you're Catholic. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care. Oppression is oppression. I will not accept that. And that is a part of my awakening process. I feel that that's where we're headed. I know we have a lot of cognitive dissonance in this world. And let me explain cognitive dissonance. It's a word I throw around a lot. Cognitive dissonance is when you do something or you align with something that is fairly acceptable to the norm and fairly acceptable to yourself and everybody, but in your heart, you know there's something wrong, or you know it is wrong, but you do it anyway. A great example, when was the last time I did cognitive? I'm trying to think of Walmart. You know, Walmart, the evil corporation. I think I remember buying a couch from them. Not even a futon. I had just moved here. I had no furniture, nothing. But I only had $100. And they had the only $100 futon that was realistic, so I bought the $100 futon from Walmart. It was wrong for me. It was against everything I believe in, but it was practical and pragmatic. I don't like that word. Pragmatism. It's what's gotten us here. Think about it. People say, oh, vote Democrats, they're less evil. The lesser of the evil. You have to be pragmatic. But that has nothing to do. Well, I guess that does have something to do with the awakening process. But pragmatism can get us in a lot of trouble. So sometimes we need to stick to the truth of harming none and allowing ourselves to inspire others to harm none. And sometimes that does take sacrifice. That brings me to probably my last question because we're running out of time here. Where does sacrifice come? How much am I supposed to give of myself? Well, that's a very tough question. I do believe those of us that are going through the awakening process, those of us that do align with the idea of being a light worker or starseed or indigo or whatever, we're here to share our knowledge, wisdom, friendship, love, companionship, all of that to help raise the vibration of the planet, to help heal the people of the planet, to help heal nature, to, whether it be working at a animal rescue or working at a homeless shelter or feeding the homeless, whatever it is that you feel you need to do, that's great. I was a member of Occupy for 2.5 years, and I spent the whole weekend feeding homeless people in the park, and that was great. That was a wonderful thing, but it didn't drain me, and that's the key. We have this tendency, those of us that are awakening, to keep doing what we're doing because it's the right thing to do. What we forget is we must come from a place of wholeness, a place of health, a place of vitality, in order to share what we have to share with others. I mention this because I'm very guilty of this myself. It's a part of my process to know when to say when. And I bring this up to you because I see so much of it. Knowing when to say when. You can't do everything at once. You can't support Greenpeace and Free Palestine and the chemtrail, ending chemtrails and non-GMO and the light workers you can't do everything at once. You can't. I know you want to. I know I want to. But the reality of it is that we only have so much energy, so much mental energy, spiritual energy, that we are, how shall I say, that we can safely impart upon others without becoming imbalanced within our own selves. Many of us are empathic. Very heavy empath here, very empathic. I love to help other people with their dilemmas and their problems and their dramas and whatever. But there comes a point where I have to say, enough. I just cannot. And because what happens is I start to think that it becomes my problem. Just 2 weeks ago, I thought I was in depression because I was speaking with a dear friend of mine who's going through depression. And I'm like, why am I feeling depressed? I'm not depressed, but I felt depressed. I'm not depressed. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person. So for me to feel that and take that on and own that is something that I need to watch out for, and it's something that you need to watch out for as someone who is going through the awakening process. It can be a great example. I just talked about the spiritual, emotional side of it, but let me also talk about the activist side of it, is that we can get so riled up and we want to create so much change on the planet so quickly that we burn out. When we're dealing with activism, there's a lot of outrage involved, and I agree. It's a bit of a motivator. It's probably what gets me involved in the Brazilian situation that's going on. But I'll tell you, I give myself a limit. You have to give yourself a limit. I went through the whole FIFA scenario for about 2 hours the other night, and that was enough. I had to say, okay, enough. 2 hours. I'll connect with it. I'll align with it. I'll share my thoughts on it. I'll do 8 posts on Facebook, and then that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I have to retreat back to me, replenish myself, rejuvenate myself. We must be very careful we're not constantly giving away our energy, and I think that's the point. It is very important that you are rejuvenated physically, emotionally, healthily, spiritually, financially, everything. You're not going to do anybody any good if you're burnt out. You're not going to do anybody any good if you've taken on the problems of the world on your shoulder and that's all you are living for. Learn to have fun. Remember how to have fun. You can have fun without spending money at Walmart or, giving money to a corporation. You can have fun without being going against what your spirit tells you to do. We're here to enjoy life. Sometimes we forget that. Life is supposed to be a beautiful thing. And the awakening sometimes pushes us in one direction, but we have to be very aware of what our body, mind, and spirit tells us and regroup and say, all right, I need to take a break. Let me take a nap. Let me go to the park. Let me go to a party. Let me go eat a pizza. Whatever it is you need to do. You can't be perfect all the time. Please remember that. I don't want you to be perfect all the time. I want you to enjoy your life. If you're not going to enjoy the awakening process, if you're not going to enjoy the consciousness movement, the truth movement, the activist movement, the light worker movement, the whatever movement that you're aligning with, if it doesn't give you some sense of joy and empower you, you're going to end up giving it up. I've seen it happen so many times. People that we've worked with here have just lost it because they become angry and they lose themselves. You don't want that to happen. So make sure to nurture yourself. Stay grounded. Stay passionate, but stay grounded. Anyway, this is all the time that we have for this month. I'm very glad I was able to get a couple of the questions out. I know I'm a little long-winded. I apologize. I'll try to get more of your questions in next time, and maybe next time we'll actually go a little longer, and I'll have a guest come on and speak to us on a specific topic. But it's been such a pleasure to be back here on GIC TV. This will be archived to YouTube, so you can watch it again and share it with your friends. And if you like what you see, please, by all means, become a member of the Global Illumination Council. You can participate in our chats and all these live events that we're going to be doing, as well as, sharing, subscribing to YouTube. Share this information. That's what it's for. Somebody asked me, can I share this? Yes! Please, share. The whole point of it is to get the information out to the public. I thank you so much for joining us. I thank you so much for being a part of my life and allowing me to be a part of your life. I love you so much, and keep up the great work. Bye-bye.